Even if you don't give a good gun damn about giant robot games, there's something you really need to know about Armored Core 6. I have to get a huge non-spoiler warning out of the way first. There's an erroneous expectation-setting quote out there, born of a Fextra Life preview article. Much like the titular choral fires of Rubicon, which fanned out across the cosmos, the following statement has been burned across the internet by sites who have got the wrong end of the plasma stick, somehow. And it reads, "During our preview event, we were able to experience the first 11 missions of the game. It took us just under 3 hours to complete, which was intriguing because we were told the game would be 50 to 60 hours long. That suggests that players can expect over 100 missions in total. Now, from my personal experience, those numbers do not add up, and I'm going to tell you why after this short chunk of non-commentary gameplay. I've stashed a bunch of these throughout this video to let the game speak for itself without me. Use the chapters function in the YouTube play bar to skip past them. Let's talk in a bit.
Time to get to work, 621.
Main system, activating combat mode.
Commence mission. We've got a read on the target. Now's the time, 621. That's it for this job, 621. Return to base.
So when it comes to duration, a reasonably competent player can hit the end credits of Armored Core 6 in 10 hours.
Time to fly, 621.
And that would be doing every single optional training mission, as I did. That would also include S-ranking, the optional arena battles that sidecar the campaign.
Subject AC. Burn pickaxe.
As I did. I'm also keeping in mind the hour I spent backtrack grinding for money to buy parts. Small caveat though, this is a game with 3 possible endings. And to be fair, there are a small handful of missions that'll kinda disappear if you select another mission. So if you're a super hardcore completionist who abhors save scumming, it's conceivable that you'll want to replay the campaign at least once to nibble on that small handful of like 10-minute sorties that you didn't get to see. But even then, once you do the math, that puts us well shy of the supposed 50 to 60 hour range. Honestly don't know where that number's coming from. Needless to say, if you're looking for longevity, you are going to have to invest heavily into the multiplayer mode, which, sadly, I couldn't access. For some of you giant robot fans, this news is probably not going to mech your day. Similarly, it's not going to energize any robo-curious From fans who've spent triple-digit hours Elden Ringing and are now hoping to come across to this franchise looking for a similar-sized meal. But, devil's advocate, 10 odd hours, or a 20-hour play and then a replay, is,
well done.
I don't know, par for the course expectation if you're an AC fan from the PS2, PS3 or PS4 days, like I am. AC6's length is more acceptable if you just want to be told a quick serviceable tale as you shoot, slash, or Spartan kick the crap out of other giant robots. Oh, and speaking of slightly misguided Soulsborne expectations, there are a few things that you newcomers ought to know before you buy into your very first AC. The brutality that you crave does technically exist in AC6's one-size-fits-all difficulty, but it's fleeting and sporadic, as opposed to a constant trial by fire of Rubicon. What we have here is what I like to call first hurdle difficulty. During the initial gasp, you're poor, railroaded into using an AC that has all of the martial prowess of Disney Pixar's WALL-E, and you're learning a complex control scheme. At this point in the proceedings, AC6 will make a meal out of many of you. However, beat that opening boss, replay some missions for some monies, and AC6 will actually mellow out for very long stretches. From then on out, only every third or fourth boss will be an absolute sea weapon to you.
It's a sea weapon.
And that will only require 1 or 2 checkpoint reloads or a slight tactical rethink. Bottom line, this game is not the controller throwing equal of its Soulsborne stablemates. What it is, however, is bloody good fun with bloody big guns. Action-wise, I haven't been this hooked on bot-on-bot violence since I grabbed the twin sticks of a Virtual On arcade cabinet, way back in 1996. I'm going to talk more about the fisticuffs in a second, but I should at least try to set the stage a little with some plot overview. Talk in a bit.
Arena Combat Aptitude Evaluation Program, number 25, rank E.
Main system, activating combat mode.
Target destroyed. Concluding evaluation. Well done.
Not so long story short, the planet of Rubicon is this universe's answer to Dune, Arrakis. Except the thing making things spicy here is an incredibly powerful and also near-apocalyptically dangerous resource called coral. And Great Barrier Reef, do humans really want to kill each other for it? As 621, a faceless, voiceless, bred-for-purpose hound, you'll be snuck into this intercorporate war for coral. Over the course of many contained sandbox missions, you'll work your way up from being a mongrel merc dog's body to the hottest Winston Wolfe problem solver on the planet. Your expertise will be sought from no fewer than 4 different factions, who each have their own Machiavellian schemes on how this coral ought to be used. Cue some rare decision branch missions, which kinda quickly wind back to the main trunk of the campaign anyway. It has to be said though, even if you're a 5 games deep fan like myself, you're gonna be lost in the opening act. AC6 is a fresh story that's unattached to previous titles, but it's also a blur of faction names and often bizarre call signs. Carving out your own legend and making those smarmy corpo handlers eat their insults delivers satisfaction. I dug this ride much more than I thought I would. But it has to be said that from opting to tell this tale through nothing but audio messages and logos really makes identifying the major players and moving parts of this that much more difficult.
Arena Combat Aptitude Evaluation Program, number 18, rank D, final evaluation. Subject AC, Shinobi. Call sign, Roku Monsen. Commencing evaluation.
Main system, activating combat mode.
target destroyed. This concludes D rank evaluation. Well done.
Just going back to that topic of moving parts and making things needlessly impenetrable, expect to have a period of head scratching in the AC assembly and or shop menus of this game. According to From, customizing your robo-ride is crucial to success on the battlefield, if you can decipher all the model number gibberish. Presumably in an effort to give this universe more history and weight, obtuse names are given to all of the potential parts that make up the 8 swappable bits of your AC frame and the 4 configurable weapon pods that hold your attitude adjusters. Expect to do a ton of squinting at the screen as you try to figure out if a DF-GN-02 Ling Tai is in fact better than the DF-GN-06 Ming Tang in terms of EN charge, EN capacity, or weight. You'll ask yourself similar questions when selecting your hand grip weapons that sit on L2 and R2, or your shoulder mounted ones that kinda sit on L1 and R1. If I carry the 1 and multiply by the square root of 12, is the BML-G1/P20MLT-04 going to provide me more metric pew-pew than the BML-G1/P31DUO-02? And the answer to those questions, without looking at a convenient item compare system, because the one here really does require flicking back and forth between assembly, equipping and shop menu, is just, I don't know, trial and error the bastard. According to my official reviewer's guide, From expects you to make a wild guess as to what's coming, slog through the traversal/minor enemy phase of a mission, and bash yourself against a boss until you either figure him out or rage quit. Potential monkey wrench in your mech though. Exiting any mission prematurely will throw you right back to the start of it. And while you can use checkpoints infinitely within the mission and rebuild your AC before you respawn, you may only use parts, and this is complete game logic bullcrap, parts brought with you. Yep, if you can't Frankenstein yourself into a better you out in the field, you have to lose all progress and shake your 40-story high ass back to the shop. Now, obviously you and I have never met, so I don't know how armoured you are emotionally, but that would irritate me to my core. Fortunately, but also kind of disappointingly, I seem to luck out into this incredible jack-of-all-trades AC build. Eschewing the caterpillar tanks and hexapod leg designs, I stuck to a svelte Tekka-Man bullet dodger who was bristling with plasma-spewing everything. To stay effective, I was only forced to briefly change my weapons for one boss, and I also rethought my armor pieces maybe twice for zippier movement. Once again, I'm not sure if that was a freak stroke of luck, but I just found myself wanting to be pushed into more super granular AC building, because I'm a masochistic weirdo. But you know what, be that as it may, I still quickly became house proud of my highly customized Ava Unit 1 coloured AC. Its call sign? Plenty of nerve. The less said about my pilot name, the better.
There. That's one of the artillery placements. The front is protected with armor plating. Attack it from behind.
Deploy for combat. Destroy that AC!
There's only one of them. We can do this.
We're clear here. Move on to the next site, 621. You're up against mass-produced MTs. Eliminate them as necessary.
Enemy attack! They're after the artillery! Fight back!
Combat in AC6 is always satisfying, and just the right level of complex. I very much needed the extra paddles of my DualSense Edge to better trigger dodging and rollerblading, which is on circle, and vertical thrusting, which is on cross. Being able to drift through skyscraper-thick streets and jack-in-the-box up onto targets, like Jaws? Man, that feels cool. Similarly, I found that most bosses came from the 7th layer of bullet hell, so being able to outrun homing missiles with that sort of maneuverability put a really big smile on my dial. Really, what we have here is a delicate bullet ballet of managing 3 crucial systems. Firstly, if you don't want to become a sitting duck, your twizzling about must be done within your allotted boost cooldown timer. Exceed it, and you'll have to float helplessly to Earth, looking like the most metal Mary Poppins imaginable. And if you do that too many times in a boss fight, you're going to find yourself supercalifragilisticexpialexploded in no time. The second thing you have to keep in mind is to keep reasonable pressure on your enemy's stagger state bar, while protecting your own at all costs. I mean, the closest from analog would possibly be Sekiro level aggression. And then lastly, you really need to keep your heavy hitters manually reloaded and ready to maximize the pain when said enemy does go punch drunk. Figure out how to do all of those things really well, and that's 80% of the battle.
Confirmed. Juggernaut destroyed. Operation Wall Climber is a success.
The ultraviolence in AC6 is not all good vibes. That aforementioned bullcrap game logic does come back in a few boss fights. For reasons arbitrary, the considerably sized sandbox you can be scooting around in can suddenly become locked down with invisible barriers. I'm talking about full no-go zones which, infuriatingly, can be retreated into by a melee-susceptible boss. Once there, and completely out of your reach, they'll just rain more fireworks at you than New Year's Eve 1999. It's ridiculous. Beyond that, I was relatively impressed with the array of armaments and tactics on offer. Any mech dream build from your dorkiest fantasies can be recreated here. You can configure yourself to be anything from a glass cannon sniper beast to a sword-swinging Voltron berserker. Look at that thing. My love for you is like a truck, berserker. I mean, hell, you can even just coat yourself in hot pink and plonk yourself down on the battlefield as a Big Bertha weapons platform, not unlike the Crushinator from Futurama.
This here is Lulabelle 7.
Yoo-hoo!
Daisy May 128K.
Yoo-hoo!
And the Crushinator. Yoo-hoo.
Essentially, what I'm trying to tell you is AC6 delivers on the action side of things. What a pity it is then that the same care hasn't been lavished upon its functional yet utilitarian visuals, which are all lovely explosions and special effects set against drab, scrappy-looking cityscapes whose details don't stand up to passing scrutiny. And obviously it's the same problem with the campaign that could have been a robo-tacular towering achievement, but instead it's just been left to be shorter than Astro Boy. When it's taken as another Armored Core in a series of, I think this is a better than usual addition to a AA franchise. I had hoped, however, that more of the learning, bigger budget, and a bolder spirit of innovation from From's other successors could have somehow been bolted into this frame. Because at the end of evaluation, AC6 may stand as the best at what it does in its particular arena niche, but that's largely due to a lack of stiff competition. I definitely enjoyed my time with this game, but I'm going to leave it thinking that From Software could have assembled something that was way more S-ranked. Those are my thoughts, such as they are. Thank you for stopping by, thank you for watching, and if you're still curious about the game, in about, 24 hours, my full long play, non-commentary is going to be put up on the channel. So, save your money and live vicariously through me as I'm in a giant robot. Thanks again, and if I don't see you, stay safe, save often, and catch you next vid.